everyone, I'm filling in for Jess. I'm Fran. Welcome back to IGN's E3 live show. Up now, we're going to take a look at the newest game from the guys at Splash Damage. They made Quake Wars, if you didn't know. So get ready for an all-out urban war in Brink. With us is Paul Wedgwood. Thanks for being here.
Hey, I'm Martin Robinson from IGN. I'm here with Paul from Splash Damage. We're here to see Brink, get a bit of a look at the single-player gameplay and some of the multiplayer stuff as well. So, Paul, give us a top line of what Brink's all about.
You know, Brink, it's a brand new title from Bethesda Softworks, who, as you know, did Oblivion and Fallout 3, both awesome games. Designed and developed by my studio, Splash Damage, over in London, England.
Yep.
It's a shooter, first and foremost, and it takes place on the Ark, which is this immense artificial floating city, built at sea really as part of a contemporary green vision. So in our universe,
yep,
you know, it's just off the coast of San Francisco, and it's towed out to the middle of the Pacific. And around 2020, things start to go wrong. They lose contact with the rest of the Earth. There's no passing ships, no planes flying overhead. Really, it just becomes a huge challenge for them to make contact with anybody from the outside world. And then refugees start arriving from nearby atolls that have been flooded. So there's this real belief that, you know, basically the rising Earth's oceans have caused the loss of contact with the rest of the Earth, but nobody knows for sure.
Yep.
As a player, you come into the game around 2045, and now resources are running really low, and it's become the focus of this isolated and horrific conflict, really between competing social factions. So you've got the resistance, who represent the refugees, yep, and the security, who represent the founders, and essentially it's on the brink of all-out civil war.
And you've obviously got quite a big character customization thing in there. Can you explain some of the character customization tools in there?
Yeah, sure. I mean, one of the things about the game is that we're really keen to blur the lines between offline and online gaming.
Yep.
What we do is that, essentially, irrespective of whether you choose to play the game, you know, single player, cooperative, or competitively, you advance your same in-game character. So you earn experience points for all of the missions that you complete. When you play as part of a coordinated squad, you take on a combat role that suits your preferred playing style. So you could be an engineer, you know, playing a support role, putting down defense turrets, planting landmines. If you've got a great aim, you could be a soldier on the front line, pulling off like cracking mid-air headshots and planting heavy explosive charges. But all of your successes earn you experience points, and you can spend them on these cool outfit upgrades and modifications. So we've created a great new 3D interface. It really lets you kind of drill in and modify your character. You can zoom in on the face and change like facial scarring, facial hair, the tint of your skin, add face masks. You can go into like your customization and choose different outfits, change their textures and colors, and just create a really unique look for your character. On top of that, we also have an ability system.
Yep.
The idea behind the ability system is really straightforward. If you want, you can run and gun and just treat it like that style of game, but you can also specialize in combat roles and buy loads of cool abilities that allow you to, you know, play with cool items, gadgets, tools and stuff. And then on top of that, we also have a new weapon modification system. And the goal behind this is straightforward. You should be able to drill in on any useful component of a weapon and add scopes, red dot sights, you know, stick silencers on it, maybe things like muzzle brakes that reduce the spread, add a front grip so it doesn't recoil as much, maybe even add a magazine so you can have extended magazines for the hardcore, you know, that like to use like burst fire mode down the middle of the scope, or things like big John Dillinger style drum magazines for people like my dad who really just spray and pray.
So with the character customization as well, am I right in thinking that if you build a slightly heavier character, they're going to be able to take a bit more damage or be a bit slower?
Yeah, we have 3 different body types that you can play as. You can be a big guy who's less agile, but he's able to use half a dozen really unique weapons, big miniguns, grenade launchers, that kind of thing. You can play as a medium body type who's able to make use of a new movement system that we call SMART, and he has a good general range of assault rifles, submachine guns and pistols. And then we have the skinny body type who essentially can parkour, and that guy can only use submachine guns because he's really light.
You mentioned SMART just then. That's part. I've seen that in motion before. That's kind of the way you move around, the quite dynamic way you move around levels.
Yeah, I mean, essentially SMART, what it does, it stands for smooth movement across random terrain. And the goal behind it really was quite straightforward. You know, we've been making shooters for about 10 years, and we've always been frustrated by those artificial constraints. You know, the notion that you walk up to a table, and because it's 2 inches too high, you can't jump up on top of that table. Or you want to slide under it, and you can't. or there's a wall and it's kind of only just up to your neck, and even though you're a super fit soldier, because the level designer didn't put an entity there, you can't jump over the top of that. So what Smart does is it allows you to vault, to mantle, to slide, to climb in ways that feel completely intuitive. But the important thing is that it's not an autopilot. It doesn't take over control from your camera. You're always in control. You choose where you're looking and what you're doing. It's really as easy to use as the jump button, but it means that it's much easier to move through the environment. And Brink is really not just about advancing movement, but it's about movement and shooting.
There's also a really, really cool art style going throughout the whole game. Can you tell us a little bit more about who is behind that and how that kind of comes together?
Well, you know, about 2 years ago, we hired a great art director called Olivier Leonardi. Olivier Leonardi is the guy that did Prince of Persia, The Two Thrones, Rainbow Six Vegas. And when he arrived, we started talking to him about our ideas for this huge floating city, and he just really wanted to make it stylistic, you know. As far as he was concerned, we wanted to be hyper-realism. He wanted to have exaggerated proportions in the characters, and, you know, in his own words, he wanted to put the colour back in shooters. We argued about that stuff a bit in the beginning. You know, I came from a background of doing a lot of purely realistic games. It's really funny because actually, we recently did a developer diary on the Bethesda site, and I admitted that I was wrong all along. So Steve Gaffney, our studio director, printed that out on a big sheet of A3 paper, stuck it on the back of Olivier's screen. So if you walk through our development floor, Olivier, our art director, has a big sign and it just says, "I was wrong all along, Paul Wedgwood," and then the date I said it on the dev diary. But it's so true. It's such a refreshing thing to play through a shooter, you know, where you can vault over railings, you can slide, you can mantle. There's loads of contrast between light and shadows, loads of colour in the levels and stuff as well. And that's one of the things we're showing at E3. You know, we're showing a brand new level. This one, it's called Reactor. And the idea behind Reactor and all of our maps really is that every single one of them is unique and distinct. So when a map's loading, because it's different from every other map, it acts as a mnemonic. You're kind of reminded immediately, you know, this is the map that I really had fun playing on, and this is where I did that, you know, where I camped there and I did the thing, you know, I put the turret down, because it floats back to you. Whereas if they're all in a jungle or they're all in North Africa, you don't really get that sense, you know, from the environment.
Cool, cool. That's all we've got time for. Thanks so much for coming in and showing us Brink. It looks absolutely incredible. And just quickly, when's it coming out?
It's scheduled for release on the Xbox 360, PlayStation 3 and PC in spring 2011.
Cool, thank you very much.
Cool, thank you.
All right, thank you, gentlemen, very much for that look. I feel like I should be doing an accent for this outro to send you off. Remember, everyone watching, if you have any thoughts, any suggestions, send them our way by following us on Twitter at IGN. We're also on Facebook. Hashtag us at IGN Live, and we'd love to hear what you have to say. Next up, we're going to join the hunt, so to speak, with The Hunted. So we'll see you back here soon.